This is our 8-inch hand crank leather splitter. With this machine you can split about any weight of leather down to between 3 and 14 ounces. It works better on vegetable tanned leathers versus soft garment type leathers. We'll now demonstrate how it works. We have a 13-ounce strap cut from firm skirting leather and want to split it down to 3 ounces. To do this, we are going to put the strap through 5 times because you never want to split off more than about 2 ounces at a time. The reason for this is the bottom roller is spring-loaded and has to move downward the same amount you are splitting off. The more you split off at one time, the more upward pressure the bottom roller will put on the block. The first setting is 11 ounces. The next is 9 ounces. The next is 7 ounces. The next is 5 ounces. And the last is 3 ounces. We realize that normally you won't take 13-ounce leather down to 3 ounces, but in case you need to, this is the right way to do it, 2 ounces at a time. This is a softer 6-ounce piece of chrome tan top grain leather. We will split this to 4.5 ounces. The key to keeping this machine at top performance is having a sharp blade at all times. We will now show you how to sharpen this blade. However, since this is a hollow ground blade, you will want to have it sharpened periodically by a professional with a hollow ground sharpening machine. The time to do this is when you can no longer keep a sharp edge on the blade when doing it yourself. You can do this locally if you have someone in your area with a hollow ground machine, or you can send the blade to us for sharpening. It's a good idea to keep an extra blade on hand, which we have available, so you won't be without a blade while yours is out being sharpened. To remove the blade, completely remove the 3 bolts holding the blade. Buff it equally on both sides using a cloth buffing wheel and a good buffing compound. We'd like to stress how important it is to hone lightly and consistently on both sides of the blade, from end to end. A blade with an uneven edge will pull your leather sideways. Before sliding the blade in, be sure the side with the notches is up. Also, it is important to slide the blade in straight to avoid hitting the side and breaking off the corners. These next steps are very important. Placement of the blade is critical to ensure nice, even skiving. First, slide the ounce adjustment knob to the far right to create clearance. Place the notch of the white plastic gauge against the front of the splitter table. Bring the blade in against the end of the gauge by turning the setting knob. Repeat this at the other end. Now fasten the two outside bolts and tighten the center bolt. Double check the placement of the blade with the white plastic gauge. The brass gauge will help you gauge the proper setting between the bottom feed roller and the blade. Always be sure that the setting is consistent and the same at each end. If this setting is off, the leather will pull to one side or the other. The brass gauge should have just a bit of resistance when you slide it from side to side, between the bottom feed roller and the blade. The feel should be the same all the way through. You can adjust the bottom feed roller up or down by turning the nut found below the roller block at each end. Turning these nuts clockwise will raise the roller, and turning it counterclockwise will lower it. Use a 30-weight motor oil to lubricate the strap splitter. The locations where oiling is important are marked with yellow dots. These areas are the upper and lower roller blocks at each end. The right side can be accessed best by setting the ounce thickness gauge to 0 and lightly prying out the shield. The drive gears can be oiled and accessed by removing this nut. Tap the bolt out carefully and the shield and handle will come off. If the splitter does not split your leather properly, review all the instructions for setting the blade in the bottom feed roller. If these settings are off, splitting leather will be difficult, even with a sharp blade. The ounce numbers on the ounce thickness gauge are approximate and should be used as a reference only. This comes with a helpful instruction sheet. This 8-inch hand crank splitter is built to last you a lifetime and works with complete ease. Whether you own a repair shop or are a manufacturer, this splitter will be a wise investment, a good addition to your line of equipment, and will give you years of quality service.